Good morning. Then Elisha said, Hear ye the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord, Tomorrow about this time shall a measure of fine flour be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel in the gate of Samaria. Then a lord on whose hand the king leaned answered the man of God, and said, Behold, if the Lord would make us windows in heaven, might this thing be? And he said, Behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but shalt not eat thereof. And there were 4 leprous men at the entering in of the gate, and they said one to another, Why sit we here until we die? If we say we will enter into the city, then the famine is in the city. In the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit still here, we die also. Now therefore come and let us fall unto the host of the Syrians. If they save us alive, we shall live, and if they kill us, we shall but die. And they rose up in the twilight to go unto the camp of the Syrians. And when they were come to the uttermost part of the camp of Syria, behold, there was no man there. For the Lord had made the host of the Syrians to hear a noise of chariots, and a noise of horses, even the noise of a great host. And they said one to another, Lo, the king of Israel hath hired against us the kings of the Hittites and the kings of the Egyptians to come upon us. Wherefore they arose and fled in the twilight, and left their tents and their horses and their asses, even the camp as it was, and fled for their life. And when these lepers came to the uttermost part of the camp, they went into one tent, and did eat and drink, and carried thence silver and gold and raiment, and went and hid it, and came again and entered into another tent, and carried thence also, and went and hid it. Then they said one to another, We do not well. This day is a day of good tidings, and we hold our peace. If we tarry till the morning light, some mischief will come upon us. Now therefore come, that we may go and tell the king's household. So they came and called unto the porter of the city, and they told them, saying, We came to the camp of the Syrians, and behold, there was no man there, neither voice of man, but horses tied, and asses tied, and the tents as they were. And he called the porters, and they told it to the king's house within. And the king arose in the night, and said unto his servants, I will now shew you what the Syrians have done to us. They know that we be hungry, therefore are they gone out of the camp to hide themselves in the field, saying, When they come out of the city, we shall catch them alive and get into the city. And one of his servants answered and said, Let some take, I pray thee, 5 of the horses that remain, which are left in the city. Behold, they are as all the multitude of Israel that are left in it. Behold, I say, they are even as all the multitude of the Israelites that are consumed. And let us send and see. They took therefore 2 chariot horses, And the king sent after the host of the Syrians, saying, Go and see. And they went after them unto Jordan, and lo, all the way was full of garments and vessels, which the Syrians had cast away in their haste. And the messengers returned and told the king. So a measure of fine flour was sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel, according to the word of the Lord. And the king appointed the Lord on whose hand he leaned to have the charge of the gate. And the people trod The people trode upon him in the gate, and he died, as the man of God had said, who spake when the king came down to him. And it came to pass, as the man of God had spoken to the king, saying, 2 measures of barley for a shekel, and a measure of fine flour for a shekel, shall be tomorrow about this time in the gate of Samaria. And that Lord answered the man of God and said, Now behold, if the Lord should make windows in heaven, might such a thing be? And he said, Behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but shalt not eat thereof. And so it fell out unto him, for the people trode upon him in the gate, and he died. Then spake Elisha unto the woman, whose son had restored to life, saying, Arise and go thou and thine household, and sojourn wherever thou canst sojourn. For the Lord hath called for a famine, and it shall also come upon the land 7 years. And the woman arose and did after the saying of the man of God. And she went with her household, and sojourned in the land of the Philistines 7 years. And it came to pass at the 7 years' end, that the woman returned out of the land of the Philistines, and she went forth to cry unto the king for her house and for her land. And the king talked with Gehazi, the servant of the man of God, saying, Tell me, I pray thee, all the great things that Elisha hath done. And it came to pass, as he was telling the king how he had restored a dead body to life, that behold, the woman whose son he had restored to life cried to the king for her house and for her land. And Gehazi said, My lord, O king, this is the woman, and this is her son, whom Elisha restored to life. And when the king asked the woman, she told him. So the king appointed unto her a certain officer, saying, Restore all that was hers, and all the fruits of the field since the day that she left the land, even until now. And Elisha came to Damascus, and Benhadad the king of Syria was sick. And it was told him, saying, The man of God is come hither. And the king said unto Hazael, Take a present in thine hand, and go meet the man of God, and inquire of the Lord by him, saying, Shall I recover of this disease? So Hazael went to meet him, and took a present with him, even of every good thing of Damascus, 40 camels burden, and came and stood before him, and said, Thy son Benhadad, king of Syria, hath sent me to thee, saying, Shall I recover of this disease? And Elisha said unto him, Go and say unto him, Thou mayest certainly recover, howbeit the Lord hath shewed me that he shall surely die. And he settled his countenance steadfastly, until he was ashamed, and the man of God wept. And Hazael said, Why weepeth my Lord? And he answered, Because I know the evil that thou wilt do unto the children of Israel. Their strongholds wilt thou set on fire, and their young men wilt thou slay with the sword, and wilt dash their children, and rip up their women with child. And Hazael said, But what is thy servant a dog, that he should do this great thing? And Elisha answered, The Lord hath shewed me that thou shalt be king of Assyria. So he departed from Elisha and came unto his master, who said to him, What said Elisha to thee? And he answered, He told me that thou shouldest surely recover. And it came to pass on the morrow that he took a thick cloth and dipped it in water and spread it on his face, so that he died, and Hazael reigned in his stead. And in the 5th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel, Jehoshaphat being then king of Judah, Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, began to reign. 32 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem. And he walked in the way of the kings of Israel, as did the house of Ahab, for the daughter of Ahab was his wife, and he did evil in the sight of the Lord. Yet the Lord would not destroy Judah for David his servant's sake, as he promised him to give him always a light to his children, and to his children. In his days Edom revolted from under the hand of Judah and made a king over themselves. So Joram went over to Zair, and all the chariots with him, that he rose by night, and smote the Edomites, which compassed him about, and the captains of the chariots and the people fled into their tents. Yet Edom revolted from under the hand of Judah unto this day. Then Libnah revolted at the same time. And the rest of the acts of Joram and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Joram slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. And Ahaziah his son reigned in his stead. In the 12th year, of Joram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel, did Ahaziah the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, began to reign. 22 years old was Ahaziah when he began to reign, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Athaliah, the daughter of Omri, king of Israel. And he walked in the way of the house of Ahab, and did evil in the sight of the Lord, as did the house of Ahab, for he was the son-in-law of the house of Ahab, and went with Joram, the son of Ahab, to war against Hazael, king of Syria, in Ramoth-Gilead, and the Syrians wounded Joram. And King Joram went back to be healed in Jezreel of the wounds which the Syrians had given him at Ramah, when he fought against Hazael, king of Syria. And Ahaziah the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, went down to see Joram the son of Ahab in Jezreel, because he was sick. And Elisha the prophet called one of the children of the prophets, and said unto him, Gird up thy loins, and take this box of oil in thine hand, and go to Ramoth-Gilead. And when thou comest thither, look out there Jehu the son of Jehoshaphat the son of Nimshi, and go in, and make him arise up from among his brethren, and carry him to an inner chamber. Then take the box of oil, and pour it on his head, and say, Thus saith the Lord, I have anointed thee king over Israel. Then open the door and flee, and tarry not. So the young man, even the young man the prophet, went to Ramoth-Gilead. And when he came, behold, the captains of the host were sitting. And he said, I have an errand to thee, O captain. And Jehu said, Unto which of all us? And he said, To thee, O captain. And he arose and went into the house, and he poured the oil on his head, and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord God, I have anointed thee king over the people of the Lord, even over Israel. And thou shalt smite the house of Ahab thy master, that I may avenge the blood of my servants, the prophets, and the blood of all the servants of the Lord at the hand of Jezebel. For the whole house of Ahab shall perish, and I will cut off from Ahab him that pisseth against the wall, and him that is shut up and left in Israel. And I will make the house of Ahab like the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha the son of Ahijah. And the dogs shall eat Jezebel in the portion of Jezreel, and there shall be none to bury her. And he opened the door and fled. Then Jehu came forth to the servants of his Lord, and one said unto him, Is all well? Wherefore came this mad fellow to thee? And he said unto them, Ye know the man and his communication. And they said, It is false. Tell us now. And he said, Thus and thus spake he to me, saying, Thus saith the Lord, I have anointed thee king over Israel. Then they hasted and took every man his garment, and put it under him on the top of the stairs, and blew with trumpets, saying, Jehu is king. So Jehu the son of Jehoshaphat, the son of Nimshi, conspired against Joram. Now Joram had kept Ramoth Gilead, he and all Israel, because of Hazael king of Syria. But King Joram was returned to be healed in Jezreel of the wounds which the Syrians had given him, when he fought with Hazael king of Syria. And Jehu said, If it be your minds, then let none go forth nor escape out of the city to go to tell it in Jezreel. So Jehu rode in a chariot and went to Jezreel, for Joram lay there, and Ahaziah king of Judah was come down to see Joram. And there stood a watchman on the tower in Jezreel, and he spied the company of Jehu as he came, and said, I have a company. And Joram said, Take an horseman, and send to meet them, and let him say, Is it peace? And so, that's not the sentence. We're just messing up on every sentence. So there went one on horseback to meet him, and said, Thus saith the king, Is it peace? And Jehu said, What hast thou to do with peace? Turn thee behind me. And the watchman told, saying, The messenger came to them, but he cometh not again. Then he sent out a second on horseback, which came to them, and said, Thus saith the king, Is it peace? And Jehu answered, What hast thou to do with peace? Turn thee behind me. And the watchman told, saying, He came even unto them, and cometh not again. And the driving is like the driving of Jehu the son of Nimshi, for he driveth furiously. And Joram said, Make ready, and his chariot was made ready. And Joram king of Israel and Ahaziah king of Judah went out each in his chariot. And they went out against Jehu, and met him in the portion of Naboth the Jezreelite. And it came to pass, when Joram saw Jehu, that he said, Is it peace, Jehu? And he answered, What peace, so long as the whoredoms of thy mother Jezebel and her witchcrafts are so many? And Joram turned his hands and fled, and said to Ahaziah, There is treachery, O Ahaziah. And Jehu drew a bow with his full strength, and smote Jehoram between his arms. And the arrow went out at his heart, and he sunk down in his chariot. Okay, straight up, I'm going to point out that my back right here started hurting I can't even say between the blade, I think like through the blade. And if it were to come straight forward, it would come out through my heart. And I thought it was very interesting that I felt that. I felt that way before I got to that, but the way they explained it, thought I'd point that out. Then said Jehu to Bidkar his captain, Take up and cast him in the portion of the field of Naboth the Jezreelite. For remember how that when I and thou rode together after Ahab his father, the Lord laid this burden upon him. Surely I have seen yesterday the blood of Naboth and the blood of his son, saith the Lord, and I will requite thee in this plot, saith the Lord. Now therefore take and cast him into the plot of ground, according to the word of the Lord. But when Ahaziah the king of Judah saw this, he fled by the way of the garden house. And Jehu followed after him and said, Smite him also in the chariot. And they did so at the going up to Gur, which is by Eblim, and he fled to Megiddo and died there. And his servants carried him in a chariot to Jerusalem, and buried him in his sepulchre with his fathers in the city of David. And in the 11th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, began Ahaziah to reign over Judah. And when Jehu was come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it, and she painted her face and tired her head, and looked out at a window. And as Jehu entered in at the gate, she said, Had Zimri peace who slew his master? And he lifted up his face to the window and said, Who is on my side? Who? And there looked out to him 2 or 3 eunuchs, and he said, Throw her down. So they threw her down, and some of her blood, couldn't even speak of her death correctly, and some of her blood was sprinkled on the wall and on the horses, and he trode her under foot. And when he was come in, he did eat and drink, and said, Go, see now this cursed woman, and bury her, for she is a king's daughter. And they went to bury her, but they found no more of her than the skull, and the feet, and the palms of her hands. Therefore they came again and told him, and he said, This is the word of the Lord, which he spake by his servant Elijah in Tishbite, saying, In the portion of Jezreel shall dogs eat the flesh of Jezebel, and the carcass of Jezebel shall be as dung upon the face of the field in the portion of Jezreel, so that they shall not say, This is Jezebel. Sometimes I just have to give that face after the end of something, because I'm like, dang, they really went through all that and then died. So actually, I'm gonna get to the point because I don't feel like doing this right now, and I'm just gonna be real with that because that's what this is, you know. So we are. I don't even know how to start with it. To be honest with you, there are certain situations right now that are irritating me a lot in general, and I'm gonna speak on them because they're important for everyone to really know what it is that we've really been through. Although I don't know how long this is gonna take, I don't feel like really getting into it, but I feel like they want me to speak about it because that's our story. That's the whole reason why we're here. So before all of this happened, one could say I had everything, but like really, people can say as much as they want about certain things that really ain't got nothing to do with them. But I was really happy I had what I had. However, I didn't have anything before I had God, and this is very true. He made sure of it. He made sure to let me know what's going on. Hold on. But if this isn't your first video with me, you will have heard me say that I worked at a pizza restaurant that I really loved. I was very passionate about my job. I was able to help people grow in that job. I was able to grow in that job. But really, it was only because, like, I was happy to keep going in my life. So basically, God was my teacher, because at that point, people had really stopped trying to let me learn anything, um, for obvious reasons. Excuse me. So moving forward, I've also said that when God told me to do something, we did it. We ended up just doing it. We thought about it. We waited until the time was right, and then we did it. We didn't make it a big deal, although it ended up being a really big deal. Bigger deal than we thought it was going to be, but it was a bigger deal, more for everybody else than for us. And then for us, it ended up being a big deal because their energy really brought our energy out, and it was just a whole scary situation for us because we knew that we were following what the Lord wanted us to do, but we also knew that everybody else didn't see it the way we saw it, and it's just how it's been in general until we met more people that understand what's going on, but they really don't because they weren't there, which also makes it easier to understand a situation, you know. So since that point, we've stayed with our dad for a month, and then he kicked us out, and then we ended up going to a park, and we ended up being, I'm really paraphrasing the story, so if it sounds bad, that's just what it's going to be. I really don't feel like getting into it right now, because that was so long ago at this point. And then we ended up staying on this lady's front porch for 3 months, and then she ended up having to kick us out as well. And by kicking us out, we do mean asking us, like, you know, like telling us we do have to leave at this point. But at the same time, it felt like being kicked out because that's really what it is, you know. But the situations were definitely very stressful. Energetically, they were more stressful than the situation itself may have been. But at the same time, that's not true. All of our situations have been very well put together, but very well put together to the point where it's like God specifically sent these certain things for us, right? Duh, because that's what life is. That's what the Lord is. However, at this point, it really has been a lot of us doing everything on our own, and we've just, again, paraphrasing, because there's a whole stretch of time that it was, but past that lady on the porch situation, on the lady's front porch situation, there we go. Past that point, that was actually where we ended up doing everything by ourselves for the most part. And I do say for the most part because my twin flame was actually involved with this situation, but at the same time, not really, because, like, you know, do you see him right here? So it has happened. It has been done. I don't really know how much of that past to explain, because coming forward, this is now a point where we've done what we've needed to do so many times over, and all the ups and downs of the journey in general, just yes in life, but emotionally, being a twin flame is a whole up and down journey that I'm not really used to, because I came from feeling nothing, and I did tell you guys that recently. So I came from feeling nothing to feeling happiness, and then being put into this journey and really being like, there's so many ups and downs with this, it's ridiculous. And we learned how to really like deal with it. Feelings are not something that we deal with very often, but we're pretty decent at handling them. And then now, who we are now, we're really good at handling them, because that's our path. We're meant to explain feelings. Like, we're meant to, speak the language of the emotions, of the energy of that and whatever, that's our path. That's what we're supposed to be able to do, so we're able to do so. So I bring that up because it's important. I feel like I have to keep telling you that it's important because there's a lot of jumping around that needs to be done, but it's not really jumping around. It's in chronological order. We've had so many things given to us, so many things that other people really want in their lives. Like, we're not immortal, but we can't die. That's something that anybody would really love to have, what is it, confirmation for, And so when someone's about to act up and I feel like they're not going to stop at a stoplight and I'm already in the street, I know that I'm okay, and sure enough, they stop. It may be like at a hair pinch, but like they stop. And then sometimes like I just be straight up not even paying attention, and then like I won't start walking when the light turns green, and then somebody will run the light. And then I just step on like it wasn't nothing, but like that person could have killed me if I was like in the street. And like that energy of the whole situation, like I know that we're safe. There's so many, it's like our life has been switched around. You may have all the money that you need in the world, and I have all the God I need in the world. And the funny thing about that is that I'm still so human, it's crazy. And I can't say that I really like that. I've mentioned my viewpoint on being human as opposed to being God. It is what it is. But that's not what we're talking about right now. What we're talking about right now is the way I feel today. Is a very, what is the word? It is a very close recollection of how I used to feel before I knew who God was. And with a twist, I can't just say kill me all day. I can't just say I want to die. I can't be completely pessimistic about the situation because I'm not who I used to be. I can't just do absolutely nothing. My life isn't what it was. I have to always keep moving forward. And even though I used to move forward then, it was just more crucial now to not go back into that mindset. And yesterday, on this video, because we made a couple of videos yesterday, but on the Bible reading portion of life, we spoke about how there is going to be a lot going on today, so keep your center. And this is like a part 2 of that, because our day went perfectly fine. A lot did happen, but it wasn't really hard for me to, keep my center and do what I needed to do and whatnot. Kinda. It did get a little jumbled up, but like we made it fun. Like it was just whatever. But today, it's like that message was ringing in my head to tell someone out there that's really listening right now that like this is exactly what's happening for them. That everything is a message. Everything is a channeled message in general. So that is really what we are too. We are also picking up on everybody's distrust for the Lord right now. Even if you say you trust in God always, I trust in God always, and I still have to make sure that I trust in God always, because there's always something that we're talking to Him about, and having a direct channel to Him, like everybody does, but we use that channel. It's just so irritating to have to be patient for the whole situation to work out, because it's like He gives us things, and then when He gives us things, He takes something else away. And not even takes something else away, it's like if I'm missing a couple of things, right? Like, okay, food, then there'll be shelter, or there'll be like water. We're just using these as examples, but it's kind of true sometimes. I don't know how to explain it right now because it's less true. I don't know how to explain that one. Because we don't always notice that we're going through something that like other people would call traumatic. We wouldn't always notice that things that like are easier for other people to come by we have to like literally do something else, and then it'll come to us differently if it does. Like if it ain't one thing, it's another. That's why when that song comes on, I'm just like, that's so true. And I try not to vibe too hard with it, because then I keep manifesting that type of feeling. But like really, if it ain't one thing, it's another. And we were, for the whole last month, you guys were there for that too. We were, really hungry, and it was a fast that we did not voluntarily do, but we voluntarily went through it and basically kept our straight arrow, we'll call that. I was gonna say north, our true north. We kept our center. We did very well. We felt really good about that situation. If somebody don't fix that. And then we ended up being able to have our transportation back, because it never really left. And that's something that if it didn't Thanos from our world, we wouldn't have been making videos like we have been throughout that whole month. So it was needed. Everything has a reason, and we know that. But at the same time, there are a lot of things that we're like, okay, straight up, I get that you don't want to give me the whole thing right now. That's perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. But like, I don't feel like, how when your parents are like, I'm going to do this for you, and then they don't do something for you, or they don't do it until they feel like it's time for them to do it and whatnot. And it depends on like what it is, where it's like, okay, it's Christmas, it's a Christmas gift. Of course you gotta wait for Christmas, bringing up Christmas again. But this isn't one of those things. It's just like, you know what I need. I know what I need. I know what I've been able to live without. I know what I've been able to live without, and to appreciate a lot of things. In general, I appreciate every single thing in my life, but at the same time, taking things for granted is something that I have the ability to appreciate as well. Like I said, my favorite line to say literally is kill me. But at the same time, God showed me that I don't really want to die. I just don't want to be here. And, but at the same time, he's given me a reason to believe that there can be more from this situation, and there will be more. And the fact that I don't have all my memories back from the whole situation means that I'm going through everything like everyone else is as well, as a part of the whole reason. And that really, it sucks. It really does suck, because I don't want to be here. I always look out to the side when I say that, because people expect Jesus Christ to be like, oh, I love everybody and all this stuff, but I don't want to be here. I'm tired of this place. It's boring. And I mean that because everybody likes to keep it boring. There's so many rules that keep me from doing things that I would genuinely enjoy and love doing, like camping on the beach. I had a tent, and every day I had to struggle if there was going to be like somebody popping up and be like, hey, what are you doing today? You got any plans for today? No, that's why I'm still here. I'm deciding to sleep in like everybody else wants to sleep in when they want to sleep in. But I didn't say it like that. And genuinely, like when I was sleeping in, like I was probably working on something, trying to get something started. I was painting at that time too. So like if I move around, I can't let my paintings dry. So whatever. And then like every morning I have to wake up to somebody raking the sand, which is good in Santa Monica because that means they're picking up the trash. But they're literally just raking the sand so that kids don't hurt their feet when they're doing a lifeguard situation, which is cool, but rake the whole beach because there's so much trash on the beach that's actually ridiculous. And then there's like, it's just so many things that are okay because everybody else says it's okay. But like the simple things that you see in anime where you can fish and eat and cook and make fires and probably do like fireworks on the beach or stuff, like things that would make it easier for you to be a traveler or someone that stays outside in general. Those types of things would be easier if all of these municipal codes, they're straight up always municipal codes. Like I hear it everywhere I go and I'm like, I'm tired of your shit. this is not your earth. And if it is, you're not doing right. Like, oh, I own this whole part of the beach. And I'm like, well, God owns you. I don't care. But I don't say these things because there's always an easier way to handle things. But it doesn't mean that I don't get irritated about it, because it's like people are really entitled to ruin things for everyone else. And that's something that irritates me a lot. So overall, me living my life the way that we do, people like to say, get your life together and stuff like that. And like that irritates me too, because I'm like, you get your life together. Again, I don't say this. It's just a whole feeling of, why do I have all this power, but yet I just want to live in a house. I just want to live in my house. I'm a house person. I like to be in the house. Again, I mentioned I'm an introvert. I don't care about all of this stuff. But at the same time, I do. I care a lot. And that's why we do it. That's why we're happy to do it, because it's needed. But like, I'm tired of this now. And we've spoken to the Lord about it very often. And from the beginning, he's been telling us that everything's going to be perfectly fine. Everything's going to work out and stuff like that. And we're like, we trust you. We're going to keep going with it in the heart as well. In the heart more than anything, really. Because I feel like if we didn't cry about a lot of stuff, we wouldn't cry at all. Because this really could make me harder than I needed to be. But like, we trust him. We still trust him. We move forward. However, my trust in him is making me feel as if, like, I can't really say what I need to say to him. And it is on how you say it. The children of Israel were brought up in someone else's conversation. And they're like, we just need to ask for mercy. The people that complained got killed and stuff like that. And it was because they were like, literally, you brought us out of Egypt to kill us, and we're going to worship this golden calf now. I've never said I'm going to go to another god. I'm not, like I said, for obvious reasons, but still, like, that's just stupid. If God wouldn't do it, why would someone else do it? That'll make no daggone sense. And I've seen so many good things happen for us every day, really, literally every day, big or small, sometimes a little too small for my liking. And even though we appreciate those and we voice how appreciative we are about them, it's at the point in my life where, like I said, I'm 26 now, so a good 3 years of my life has been dedicated to this situation. And I feel like now that we've got the whole sage prophet thing done and gone and all of that stuff, I really just want to live my life here. Like, I just want to do what I want to do. And quite literally, I'm tired of this shit. Yeah. And that's just why I am the way I am now, is because I don't care about really anything that's happening, because it's not even real. Yeah, a lot of it is not even real, and it sucks because, like, as unreal as something can possibly be, I still have to be a part of it, and that really does suck. But I'm feeling today very, I wanted to say nonchalant and melancholy together, but it was more of just like, I'm feeling very numb about the whole situation. I felt a lot better when I started reading the Bible. I didn't want to do that either, but it felt right to do what I was supposed to do instead of just being like a worse version of what I would have thought in the past when I felt like this. Because in the past, I probably would have taken a nap. And, that would have been helpful for me then, but now that would be literally me going to sleep in general. Like, I always have to make sure that we're doing the right thing for us. And even though it's always been that way, now the circumstances change and we're able to think of it differently. We can't go to sleep, we have to keep going. And I'm sure things will work out. And I'm feeling a lot better about the situation right now because we're talking about it. I didn't expect this video to be longer about the situation, but I guess really this is the first time I've actually spoken about a lot of stuff and still ain't nothing really explained. I'm tired of writing things down and speaking about things for it to not be already said, because then I got to go back to the past and think about it again, and it's not like it sucks or anything. It's just like it's too much to remember, even though it's not. But like it is. It's too much to remember, and I don't care anymore. Like I want to go past this point. I'm tired of this viewpoint in life, and I know that for me, I have to do the things the way that we're doing things right now. This is a part of us doing things the way that we're doing things right now. Like people are like, well, you can get a job until then. It's like in my brain, I really be telling people to shut up. A lot of the time, people like they don't know, but I really be telling them to just shut up because you're not happy doing what you're doing. And if you were, you wouldn't be trying to keep me from doing something that you wish that you had the power to do. And it's not even that deep because you probably don't even have to leave whatever job you're at because some people's paths are for that. And it's like, just put yourself where you're supposed to be. I already know where I'm supposed to be at. I just also know that we're going the way that we're supposed to be going. And that's irritating because it's so slow. Slow and steady wins the race is what God keeps telling me. And I'm a Sagittarius, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But we are good at that, so. I should have just said I'm a fire sign. We don't like that because, man, I really do. I really, what is the word? I resonate with being a Leo rising. I definitely do. Even though I'm a Libra rising. I didn't know. I did not know. I did not know. But yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. I just wanted to share with y'all what I'm feeling right now because Spirit really wanted us to all be a part of this together because there are people out there that are feeling the same way. I do get really surprised at this point when I see people spewing nonsense about, not trusting in God. What is the word I'm looking for? They'll say something about God in a way where it's like, oh, you really putting your foot in your mouth right now. And I'm just like, I don't need to say anything. I just hope that you're okay after this. Because that's one of those things that you can get in trouble for, is when you say something unnecessarily wrong about somebody, especially him. So, praise the Lord. I really do get surprised. I'm just like, you would think by now that God has, gotten to everybody. But really, like, it's just me being patient and being impatient at the same time. Like, I'm tired of seeing the world as it is right now. It's quite cringy. That is the word to use. It is very cringy, and I'm tired of it. I didn't even know anything about too much cringe, but like, the cringe is definitely taking a toll for the worse. So, yeah. All right, now we're done. Keep your true north, and even if you have to talk to God, speak to the Lord with a very strongly worded letter. Make sure you say only what you mean, because that's the most important part about what we speak to him about. And we do be listening to him, and like I said, we've had to be very patient, and he said a lot of things to us and for us that he chooses what he wants to come true when it happens. And that's great, but I'm really tired of this whole situation now, and I'm feeling it a lot today. And I really do believe that everybody can be happy every day. Challenges are not bad things for me, but I feel like emotionally, since that's such an innate belief, even though we keep going through the extreme ups and downs, I feel like we really can have that. So this is not a feeling that will last forever. Praise the Lord. Oh, I guess we should pray, huh? Actually. yes, I do have more pimples on my face than I normally do. That also pissed me off. Like, it irritated me a lot. My main form of dissatisfaction really is irritating. I really do feel that. I truly do think that's a Scorpio Venus and a Sagittarius thing, because I think I think that has a lot to do with things, because we don't hate people, we just really don't like them, you know. So like when we hate something, we strongly just don't like it, or it just irritates us. I feel like that has a lot to do with it, because my sun and my moon is a Sagittarius, and my Mercury, and my Venus is a Scorpio. So it's like a lot of side eye energy just in me. I feel that definitely. I should feel better after drinking tea in general. I didn't want to drink it before the video was over, because I wanted to like feel good with God first, instead of just bringing caffeine into the situation, because I don't normally wake up with caffeine. I usually, well, it's not something that's like a routine or anything like that, nor has it ever been, but like sometimes. A joint or a bong, that's different. But also before that, I still like to read the Bible, or while, during, it depends. Like if I'm not in a good mood, I don't want to use that as a crutch, but like if I'm already in an excited mood and I'm like, let's do this, it's a different story. Alright, for the 5th time, goodbye.